Okay, welcome back. Muscle video number 5. Here we're going to move on to the arm muscles. And first one's your deltoid muscles, which are around the caps of your shoulders here. And I'm highlighting here because the deltoid is a pretty large muscle, and it's divided up into 3 separate heads. There's a posterior, let's turn that one off. There's a posterior head, there's a middle head, and then there's an anterior head highlighted right in there. And so you can actually contract those different heads separately if you need to, and you can kind of see how the fibers are running. The origins for the deltoid muscles will be over here on the clavicle, and that's the spine of the scapula. Remember how that was so prominent on the posterior side of the scapula, and we said that areas on bones which get really thick and have those big processes, those big projections, that's because those are where muscles are attached, and they deal with a lot of force from those muscles, and that force stimulates bone growth at those locations. And then your insertion point, if you notice over here, will actually be on the upper part of the humerus, down in there underneath the other muscles. So let's actually turn on, let's highlight the whole deltoid, and let's turn on our pins. All right, so like I was saying in red, up in here, origins for the deltoid, up in there, that's the part that stays stationary. And then your insertion point is actually on the side of the humerus, on the lateral side of the humerus down in there, underneath some of these other muscles that we haven't talked about yet. All right, so the deltoid is a pretty powerful muscle. It's going to do lots of things for us. And also notice this is one of the muscles you do need to know the origins and the insertion for. So it's going to be on the lateral middle part of the humerus is the insertion, and the origins are up on the clavicle and the scapula. All right, so think about what we're going to be doing here. If you look at the way those fibers run, one of the things, this is going to pull on the humerus, on the middle side of the humerus. So when you need to abduct the arm, you're going to bring it out to the side like this. Your deltoid muscle contracts to do that. And then if you keep pulling, you keep pulling, you keep pulling, what are you doing here? You're raising your arm overhead. That is elevation at the shoulder joint, or elevation of the arm. So the deltoid is responsible for both of those movements. And then what do weightlifters do if they want to work out their deltoids? They press overhead, or you can also do those exercises where you, like a dumbbell raise, where you abduct your arm outward to the side while you're raising a weight. Okay, this is an antagonist. You need to know the antagonist here. Antagonistic to the latissimus dorsi, because the latissimus dorsi helps you with depressing the arm. So we said if you were doing like a chin-up or a pull-up, and you're pulling your body weight up, but at the same time depressing your arms, that's going to require a lot of effort from your latissimus dorsi muscle, and that's going to be antagonistic to what we're saying the deltoid is doing here. All right, let's clear all of those. Move on to the next one, biceps brachii. Everybody knows where your biceps are, and it is biceps. It's not bicep. Deselect all of those. They didn't want to turn off for me. Okay, so your biceps brachii muscle is on the anterior side, if you think about being in an anatomical position, anterior side of the arm. That's the whole thing. It has 2 heads, or 2 portions of it, so it's divided up into 2 portions, and that's why it's called the biceps. Remember, cephalic refers to the head. That's a term that can refer to the head region. So biceps literally means 2 heads. And where are those origins for the biceps brachii muscle? Let's turn those off for a second. And let's get rid of the deltoid, and let's get rid of our pectoralis major muscle. Now this view is really giving you a nice look at the insertion point over here for the pectoralis major muscle, which we said one of the major things it does is it helps adduct the arm toward the midline, so you can really see it's pulling on that portion of the humerus. All right, so now that we've got all those things stripped off, Here's your biceps brachii muscle. And so here are your two heads. There's a longer head, shorter head here, and the longer head, it's actually thinner, but you can see it extends longer than the shorter one over here toward the into the shoulder joint area. So you can see where the origin is, and hopefully you're recognizing that's around that glenoid cavity of the scapula up in there where that muscle is attached. And insertion point, now we've talked about this before. Let me deselect that. So there's your biceps brachii muscle, converges down, both of those two portions of it converge down and form a tendon down in here. And that tendon, let me strip off some of these forearm muscles. That tendon is going to connect to, right in there, if we zoom in, right in here, that little bump on the bone right there, that is the radial tuberosity that you learned about when you studied the skeletal system. All right, so what does your biceps brachii muscle do? This flexes your forearm, especially when you have your palm in the supine position. Remember supinate and pronate from the first video lecture about the joint movements? So when your palm is forward and you flex the elbow, the biceps brachii muscle is going to be your prime mover, the main one that's helping you accomplish that. And again, it's because origin's up here at the shoulder, insertion on the radial tuberosity that's pulling on the radius and allowing you to flex the elbow. All right, I'm zooming back out here. Now, what about when we need to extend the elbow? Well, we need to rotate our arm around this way and look on the posterior side of the arm. And here are your triceps brachii. Muscle there, and it's divided up into three. Triceps means three heads, and it's actually got three sections. So let me turn those off. There's one. That's actually called the medial head, and then this one is the lateral head, and this one is called the long head of the muscle. Let me scan upward here. Let me deselect all of those, and I'm going to get rid of your deltoid here so we can, oops, hide. There we go. All right. So now that we've stripped the deltoid off, and let's get rid of some of these deeper muscles around the shoulder area as well. All right, so now we can see where our triceps muscle is attached. So you see it's attached up here around the shoulder joint on the scapula, that part of the scapula right there. And then also over here on the upper part of the humerus on the back side. Those are going to be the origins. Let me turn those off because I've got multiple muscles selected and it's showing more origins than it's supposed to. The origins are up here around the shoulder joint and on the humerus, and then your insertion point is going to be down in here at the elbow on the ulna. Down in here, this is going to be your insertion point. All right, so think about it. If you've got your elbow flexed and you want to extend the elbow joint, your triceps brachii muscles are going to pull on the back side of the ulna and make that happen. So the triceps brachii muscles are antagonistic to your biceps brachii muscles. And think about some of the exercises you can do to work out your triceps brachii muscles. One of those is that you can do push-ups. Push-ups work out your triceps brachii muscles because what are you doing? When you're pushing, you are adducting the arm toward the center, the midline of the body. So that's your pectoralis major muscle is doing that. But you're also extending the elbow. So your triceps brachii muscles are pulling back here on the ulna to allow you to accomplish that type of movement. All right, I'm actually going to stop this particular video here and I'll cover the rest of the arm muscles on the next video clip.